Good morning. I'm excited about this Wednesday's session. So much of the time, I'm going to share. This is my plan for this Facebook Live. Number one, I want to share a little bit of my story because my story will give you background on what I've struggled with when I've hired coaches. I'm always hiring coaches in my life. I always have somebody in my life that I'm learning from because I've learned it's the fastest way to grow. Having said that, I've had lots of problems with certain coaches, and I'm going to share some of those stories with you to help you along your journey. Secondly, I'm going to share kind of what can you look for in a coach. And actually give you lots of tips and lots of suggestions here, which is going to be super useful, so you can choose the best coach that suits you. I'm going to start off though, before all of that, by asking a question. It is, at the time of this recording, we're 2/3 of the way through the year. It's the end of August. And honest question, how are you doing? Are you meeting your goals? Are you hitting your targets? When you looked at January and you kind of looked throughout 2019, did you say, yeah, I've got everything in flow and I'm going to do all these things and this is what I want to achieve? Are you achieving those things? Why or why not? Ask yourself those questions. They're hard questions to answer sometimes, but when you ask those, we become more aware of ourselves and we understand our needs in so many more ways. Okay, if you have hit all your goals, fantastic. I want to congratulate you. Or you're well on your way to them. If you haven't, sometimes people need to change. Okay, so I want to share a couple of stories for you. One is one of my first coaches that I ever had in business. Now, I was investing at the time. I was working on real estate investing and growing my portfolio, and I hired somebody to help me with finding joint venture partners. So it's finding people that I can join with to grow my portfolio more. We could partner on deals. I found somebody that actually wasn't in my specific field, but he was a person of integrity. He was somebody that understood business well. He understood how to market and how to sell. He understood a lot of things that I knew I needed. And he was a really good human being. Having said that, here's how this session went. And I actually paid for a year of coaching. I was paying, how much did I pay in total? I think I was paying $1,500 a month. So I paid a significant amount, $18,000 for this coaching. And I got almost no value from it, and this is why. I would go to him, and he was an A-type personality. What I mean by that is he was a hard charger. If he decided to do something, he would just do it, and he expected that from other people around him, which a lot of really successful people tend to be. At least people who start off quite successfully are hard chargers. They're the A-type personalities. They don't let anything get in their way. In my experience with this, what happened was I would go to him and I would say, hey, listen, these are the things I need. I'm not going to use his name because I don't want this to get around to him, because he was a great guy. Sure, I'm sure he still is. But I would say, these are the things I need. So he'd say, oh, great, these are the actions you need to take. And I would say, great. And I would go out and I would not do them. I would start them sometimes. I would procrastinate because I struggled myself with my own beliefs about myself, with beliefs about what I was capable of. So I would go to my coach and I would ask him, hey, listen, what do I need to do to change? And he would say, well, did you do what I told you to do? And I said, no, I struggled with that. And he would say, well, do that. And so again, I would go back and I would struggle with them, and I would come back and we would have the same conversation over and over again. I would say, hey, listen, I'm not getting these things done, and I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what needs to switch for me. And he would say something along the lines of, well, did you do it? Just go out and do it. And I finally said to him, this is after a couple of months, I said, listen, I need some help here. I'm not doing what I need to do. The problem is not telling me to do them more or explaining why it's important, because that's not working for me right now. What I need is help understanding why I'm not doing it. What's getting in the way? And once I started to understand what was getting in the way, everything changed for me. Now, he wasn't able to help me with that. Okay, and this is a lesson that I want to give everyone. There are lots of coaches out there, and there's a difference between a coach and a consultant, which I'll talk about a little bit too. But if you want faster growth, I would absolutely say hire a coach in your life. That's an important part. But be very careful who you choose. And again, I'm going to walk through some of those things that you can do. Another really quick example. So I hired somebody to help me out with marketing and sales. And again, somebody who really knew what they were doing on many levels and would just do things. But they lacked integrity. And they would tell me to put things online that went against my own value system. And so it was unworkable. And if I would have spent a little more time vetting this person, it would have been something that fit far better for me, okay? So here's what I want to do. First of all, the question of, do you need a coach? Do you even need a coach? And here's how I would answer this. If you are somebody who wants to speed up the process, it doesn't matter where you are in your business and in personal life, but if you want to speed up the process and really grow quickly, I would say that that's one way to measure whether you need a coach or not, because that speeds up the process. Having said that, there are a lot of people who aren't completely ready to take the action they need to take. Usually, this is true of all humanity, we typically don't do things unless we are forced to do them. We typically don't want to change the status quo. We don't want to get out of what people call our comfort zone unless we're kind of pushed out of it. Okay, we don't start a new business until we're pushed out of our old job, or we don't work on our relationships until we start struggling with our relationships. And what I'd encourage you is ask yourself, am I ready? Am I going to be willing to at least do something to help myself, to invest in myself? Because if you don't see yourself as valuable and you're not willing to invest in yourself right now with action, then there's no magic pill. Somebody's not going to magically give you with a magic wand and hit you over the head, and all of a sudden you'll be fantastic and do everything perfectly. Okay, that's not the way it works. So one thing you need to ask yourself is, am I ready? Secondly, I want to talk about the difference between a coach and a consultant. What's the difference between a coach and a consultant? A consultant looks at your business, looks at yourself, looks at what you need, and then they tell you, do these things. That's what a consultant does. That's what you pay a consultant to do. They're an expert in a very specific realm, and they tell you what to do. A coach is very different. So a consultant is often for those people who if you are told what to do, you're going to do it. That's where a consultant is perfect. And consultants are great. Coaches, on the other hand, are different. They're also great in other ways. So a fantastic coach is not going to be somebody who simply looks at your business or looks at your life and says, do these things. What a coach does is a coach explores more. So if you've hired somebody in the past that just goes, oh yeah, I looked at your numbers, you need to do this. That's a consultant. And again, it can be great. If you are the kind of person that needs a little bit of time, where you go, you know what, I've struggled in the past. I've struggled to do something or to take the action I need to take on a consistent basis. And even when I know what to do, I don't always do it. If you're that person, then probably coaching fits better. Why? Because a coach should, if you choose the right person, should be able to walk you through the process and go, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? Why isn't this working? Rather than simply a blatant, hey, this is the way, do this thing. Okay, and that brings me to my next point. If you're looking for a coach that fits yourself, this is a piece of advice that you need to go with. Make sure that you find somebody who does not have a one-size-fits-all approach. If you find somebody who has a one-size-fits-all approach, if you ask somebody, hey, how do you coach? And they say, oh, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I do these 4 things with everyone, and then we always have this outcome, and we always... Be careful with those people, okay? Because it's just like the hats that you buy in a store. If it's a one-size-fits-all, it's not as comfortable. It doesn't work as well. It's not going to look as good. It's not going to fit your needs as well. I remember having clothing that my parents would give me when I was young that was one-size-fits-all, and one-size-fits-all does not fit all. It actually doesn't fit anyone really well. Okay, and that's true for coaching as well. Okay, so what to look for in a coach to suit your needs? Again, not my needs, not somebody else's needs, your needs, because that's what a coach needs to do. They need to be specific for your situation. 1, look for somebody who is safe for accountability. On one hand, they need to be safe. So if you've got somebody who you go, I'm super intimidated by this person, and there's no way that I'm going to feel safe enough to share these things that I'm struggling with, then that's not going to be a good coach for you. On the other hand, make sure that you also have somebody who's willing to challenge you. So they're safe enough that you're going to be honest with them and vulnerable with them, but they're also challenging enough that they're going to say, hey, listen, you said you're going to do this. Let's explore it. Why aren't you doing this? And we need to figure out how this works, okay? So make sure that somebody's going to be willing to challenge you as well. Next, make sure that you've got a coach that is building their own business right now. This is what I mean. If you try to find a coach, let's say you want to, sorry, I told you my background is real estate investing in some way. So if you are investing in real estate, sorry, and you find a coach that used to grow their portfolio but hasn't done that for 20 years, that's not going to be a good coach for you, okay? Generally speaking. There's some I'm sure that are out there, but generally speaking, that's not a great coach because they don't know what's going on right now in the marketplace. Technology changes all the time. So having somebody that's in the game right now is super important. And I've got to be careful. I don't want to use a lot of names because I don't want to badmouth other people. But Tony Robbins, who I respect, I'm not saying anything bad about this guy, he was growing his business a long time ago. And he was struggling a long time ago. To get advice from Tony Robbins on how to grow your business when he has been at $1 million plus business for decades already, and you're at $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 or you're still growing, that's not going to be a good fit. Why? Because he doesn't understand where you're at right now. And that's not saying anything bad about him. He's simply moved on from that, okay? He needs to be helping people that are at the $10 million plus range every year. That's where he can be super helpful, okay? Next, make sure that you've got somebody that you can connect with. This is super important from coaches, and this is what I've learned in my own past, that when I connect with somebody and go, this is somebody who I respect, this is somebody who I'm curious about, this is somebody who I get along with, those typically tend to be the people that work out really well. By the way, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please write a comment in the comment box, ask questions, because I'd love to handle that in session or during this live if I can. Don't pay, this is a really important one for coaching, don't pay for simple motivation tricks. Don't pay for simple motivation tricks. So in the coaching realm, this is what's given coaches a really bad name for good reason in many ways. Because there are many coaches, the way they build their business is by creating a lot of fervor, a lot of attention. They're very good at marketing, and they for a weekend, everyone's super excited and they sell lots of stuff at that weekend, and then you've got the letdown. So this comes to another point. Always choose somebody who's interested in the long-term approach, not the short-term approach. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to stick it out all the time, and that's okay. But make sure that you're choosing somebody who has a long-term focus and says, hey, I want to build something over the course of a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I want to help you grow a life that's worth living. Delayed gratification is part of that. And if there are quick fixes, generally speaking, that doesn't work very well. And we know this. We know this from other experiences that we've had in the past. When people promise a really quick fix, usually it's going to fall short. And with coaching, that's absolutely true almost all the time. There's certain people that are completely ready for coaching, and maybe they're more ready for consultants. And a consultant just says, do this, they do it, and they're off to the races, okay? Okay, here's a really good question that I've been asked so many times. Mark, do I find a coach who is an expert in my specific field? So for example, let's say you are a, you are a disc jockey. As an odd example, and you want to grow in your ability to run this business. Do you go to an expert who's a disc jockey and is an expert in this field? If you are a cleaner of homes or corporations, and you will go into office space and you clean it, do you find somebody who's an expert in that field, or do you find somebody who's outside of that field? If you are somebody who's in an MLM, do you find somebody in your upline that's been fantastic at it, or do you choose somebody that's completely outside? There are merits to both, and here's what I would say: if you are looking for a system, if you are looking for being told what to do, and you will take action on it, then often the best person for you is going to be in your own field. If, however, you are somebody who needs motivation, needs help, and needs to understand how to get more and to take more action because you're not doing it, then typically find somebody outside of your field. Find an expert who's an expert at coaching, who's an expert at helping people through the process. Because an expert on human behavior and how to change your behavior, and habits, that's who's going to be most helpful, if that makes any sense. Okay, make sure, this is a huge one too, make sure you find somebody who has failed themselves, who isn't perfect, who's failed themselves in the ways that you are failing right now. Because they will get you on a completely different level. So again, we've got these different personality types, right? And if there's a personality type of somebody who just always does things, they take action, and they succeeded in sports, and they succeeded in school, and they succeeded in whatever, and then they succeeded in business. If you're somebody who's struggling along and didn't succeed in everything by the age of 25, they're probably not the right person for you. They're not going to understand what you need. Okay, and it's not saying anything bad about them. They just don't get you. So choose somebody who gets you, who's struggled in the same ways you are struggling right now. Do you choose somebody? Here's a question. Do you choose someone who is the most popular and doesn't give you any time? Or do you choose someone who isn't as well known, but gives you all their attention and energy? Typically, I will always go with somebody who's lesser known, but gives me a ton of time and attention. I love that. I want somebody who's successful. I want somebody who's moved beyond me in business in different ways. But I also want somebody who's going to give me their time and attention, because I've been part of like online programs where nothing is specific for me, and that doesn't help me as much. And I'm positive that it doesn't help you as much either. Ask yourself, if this person doesn't succeed, if this coach doesn't succeed, what does it cost them? So if you go to somebody with a huge organization and they've sent you a coach, that's typically not going to be super helpful in my experience, because if they fail, it doesn't cost them anything. It's not their reputation. And the big person already has a strong reputation, so it's not going to affect them very much. If somebody, again, this is on the same point of, do you choose somebody who's better known but doesn't give you any time, or somebody who's lesser known but gives you a ton of time? Choose the person who cares about it, who it makes a difference to their business. Okay, that's typically going to give you far more energy and help you out a lot more. Was there anything else that I wanted to cover really quickly? Yeah, those are most of the topics for now. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment box even afterwards, and I'll check these comments every once in a while and give you answers to those as well, or shoot another video to help you. Maybe in wrapping up, what I want to say is that in my own life, I did not have parents that understood business really well. I did not have parents who understood coaching really well. So for me, growing my own business, I didn't learn the skills growing up at home that I needed to grow in business. I didn't have that. That's okay. My parents were fantastic. I'm not complaining about my parents at all. They didn't have that skill set. So I didn't learn that skill set as a kid. I had to learn it later on in life. And the fastest way for me to learn and grow has always been pay somebody else to speed up the process, pay somebody else to help me along the way. So if that's the case, if you're somebody who has everything you need, then why would you go with coaching? If you've got the people in your own family, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, talk to your Uncle Sam or whoever it is, okay? Or Aunt Verna or whatever. But if you're somebody who goes, wait a second, I didn't grow up with this skill set, and I struggle with, maybe I'm a little bit of an introvert, I'm not that person who just does things, so I need a little bit more help, then for you, maybe coaching is probably best. Now I'm going to ask one more question. This is something I forgot to ask. What is best? Is it best to do a group program or an individual one-on-one program with a coach? This is a question that I ask myself all the time, because I'm constantly with clients who are looking for coaching, and there are advantages and disadvantages to both. This is what I would say. If you are really struggling with money, now here, I'm going to put a caveat here. You always have enough money for the things that matter to you. You always have enough money for the things that matter to you. So if your own growth and your own business does not matter as much to you, then you won't pay for coaching, no matter how much it costs. If it's $1 you won't pay for it. Having said that, if you know that this is the key to learning and growth, then you will pay whatever it takes. I've paid incredible amounts for coaching in the past. I've spent close to $200,000 on my own learning and growth, and that has helped me and grown me. But I believe in that, right? So choosing individual coaching, generally speaking, to choose an individual coach, you're looking for specific help in specific ways, and you're looking for kind of a custom designed program for you. That's where individual coaching is going to shine. It's going to be more expensive in money, and it's going to be far less expensive for you with time and energy long term, because it's going to speed up the process. Group coaching is different. Group coaching, if you need consistent kind of, if you learn from a group and you see other people doing things and that really encourages you, and you have less money to spend, but you are okay with it taking more time, then for you, group coaching might be a fit. And you can find lots of people that offer these different aspects. Here's what I want you to do. Here, a little call to action at the end of this video. If this is helpful to you, if this is helpful in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate that. This is something that I'm extremely grateful for. Share this video with other people, because right now in the coaching field, there are a lot of people who are good human beings that are not doing a great job. And there are some people who are awful and doing really well in business, but they're not offering a lot of value to people. So I'd like to change that. I'd like to change how people view coaches, how the kind of value they get from coaches, and what they can do about it in the future. All right. So share this with other people if it's helpful. If it's not helpful, completely forget about it. You don't have to worry about that at all. If you do have any questions you'd like to ask me about coaching, feel free to put it in the comment box or write a quick reply. A comment, and I'm happy to answer those comments. This is something that brings me a lot of joy, helping people in this process. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a fantastic fall, and take the action you need right now in order to continue to grow your business and your life. Thank you.